Why are you running for the Missouri House?
I'm running because I'm tired of the dysfunction in Jefferson City. The Capitol is for sale, and I'm very saddened about that. When you have a state legislator who reports a bill out of committee and a week later he receives $50,000 in campaign contributions, that's wrong. And I'm tired of money running the Capitol. We're the only state in the nation that has no ethics laws in regard to campaign financing and in regard to gifts for legislators. You know, I'm also concerned that our elected officials are more interested in the next election than they are addressing the situation right now, the needs that we have right now. Most importantly, I know how to work together. I know how to get things done. I want to see some positive things done for our state. We need to go forward. We have to battle through this distrust that has just run rampant. We've got to achieve a level of trust to where we can talk to one another, we can believe one another, and stop these polarizing issues. And that's really why I want to run.
What issue would you say is not getting enough attention in the legislature?
Oh, I think there are several issues. Number one is, of course, education, and everyone talks about education, but it's time that the rubber meet the road. We need to fully fund the foundation formula. And we're $655 million below where we should be right now. And we can do that without raising taxes. I want to look at the tax credits that are given out in this state. There are over 60 tax credit programs, and one alone takes $144 million from our general revenue. So that needs to be the first thing. It is just outrageous that we have not addressed the Medicaid expansion legislation. 26 states in the nation have done that. Other states are getting our federal money. $9 billion has been estimated of what we are losing and what we will lose if we do not participate. 24,000 jobs lost, and it's imperative that we address that this upcoming legislative session. Of course, the transportation issue was on the forefront in August, and it's apparent that we need to address that. I think we need to look at that, different ways of funding, whether we have bonding capacity, whether we look at toll roads. We need to sit down together with the Highway Commission, with legislators, with groups throughout the state, and decide how do we address these issues regarding our bridges and our highways.
You kind of got into this already, but what should the state's policy be on taxes and tax credits?
Well, I think we need to look very carefully at the tax credit program. Theoretically, it's not a bad program. Realistically, are we getting the full bang for our buck? Are we getting the jobs created from these massive tax credits we're giving? The second thing on the tax cuts, you know, that's something that we need to sit down again and look at and talk about factually. Don't have the Friday favors that we saw the last day of session. Don't just throw a package together for politics. Talk to local governments. Talk to those political subdivisions that will be affected, county commissions, cities. Talk to these areas and let them know what your ideas are. Get their input. Tax cuts are not bad, but we can't have a massive tax cut by one person pushed by one millionaire in the state of Missouri that will devastate the mandatory services that we have to provide for our citizens. And we have got to stop this.
And this is also something you started getting into earlier, but how should the state approach education?
Let me just get my thoughts together here.
Sure.
You're cutting and pasting, I'm assuming. The first thing that is required after all the bills have been paid by the state is to fund education. That's in the Constitution. And it's time now that we actually put this as a top priority of funding. 90% of the administrators who were polled in the state said funding the foundation formula is their number one priority. That is the whole basis for funding our schools. It can be done without raising taxes by simply focusing on that. We have teachers who have salaries that are 47th in the nation. That is an atrocity. Of course, now we have the task force on the core curriculum, 8 task force made up of 12 people each. I think the first day they met, they got into a big fight. To me, that does not bode well for our educational system. It does not bode well for this particular program. The divisiveness, once again, has caused problems. We need to look at facts, not opinions. And I'm hopeful that this group will get together so that we can look at standards. We can have an educational program in our state that will allow our kids to compete not only with the United States, but with the entire world.
If elected, what would be your top 3 priorities?
Funding education, of which I have just explained, that has to be the number one priority. It is the number one priority in our Constitution after all the bills are paid. It is the whole basis for everything that occurs in the state of Missouri. It brings in jobs. It educates our children. It's for our future. Second, of course, is for Medicaid expansion. We need to do that immediately. For a vast number of reasons that I just stated. And it's apparent that the citizens of this state are interested in looking at our roads and bridges and developing a solution, a non-punishing solution, if you will, of correcting our transportation system, of making it better, repairing our roads and bridges.